Hello! Welcome to Gospel in Action. In the last video, we have seen the role of the church in individual marriages. We have also seen who should be in the leadership roles in the church to help the families of the church. In this video, we will focus on the love languages of God based on the book by Gary Chapman and how they are part of God's design and how exploring these love languages can help the marriages in this society. I would like to explain, keeping in mind my experience and the culture that I grew up in. By God's wonderful design, the fundamental love language of a man is that he naturally seeks respect from his wife, and the fundamental love language of a woman is that she naturally seeks love from her husband. This is the sole reason why the Bible emphasizes and commands the wives to submit to their husbands and husbands to love their own wives as Christ loved the church. This is our basic understanding until now. We have also seen in the last video that the church must play a very important role in making the husband and wife understand who they are in Christ by discipling them to make their marriages stronger. It is the church's responsibility to make them understand their individual roles in a godly marriage. The purpose of this video is to further divide this language of love and respect into smaller sections to give much more clarity on how exactly a husband and a wife must behave and act in a marital relationship for marriages to be fruitful in every aspect. Let us name these smaller sections as love languages because even the respect comes out of love for a person. Hence, love is the greatest of all. The entire universe is running by love. Anyway, the following are the 5 love languages that both the spouses in a marriage must speak. Words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. In God's design, every single person on this planet would respond positively to all these 5 love languages. But each of us should have a primary love language that is dominant out of all the 5. That is, one of the 5 love languages speaks more deeply to us emotionally than the other 4. Identifying this primary love language is very important in a marital relationship. We will investigate why in this video. We must always remember that love is not a solo experience. Love requires both a lover and a responder. So, if God is a divine lover, why don't all his people feel his love? Many don't feel it because they are looking in the wrong direction. They are rebellious and are in darkness. They are looking to fill their void or emptiness from elsewhere. But unfortunately, they fail to realize that nothing can fill their void except the love of God. Well, it is never too late for them to accept Jesus Christ, who is their true and exact representation of God on earth, as their only Lord and Savior. So, just as we appeal to the people to not search for love apart from God's love, that is the Creator's love, we appeal to all married couple to not look for love elsewhere, but look for those specific areas within their marriages to make it beautiful. People by nature are very specific, whether they know it or not. So even their love towards others and their receiving of love from others can also be very specific. For example, if a husband doesn't speak his wife's primary love language, she will not feel loved. and her need for love goes unfulfilled. Similarly, if a wife doesn't speak her husband's primary love language, he will not feel respected and his need for respect goes unfulfilled. And usually, that is the beginning of the end of their marriages because they tend to look out for love and respect elsewhere. In fact, this is exactly what happened with me in my first marriage, which ended up in a very painful and a long divorce. I have learned my lessons and I am here to teach you from my own experiences. So, why is identifying our love language so important? As I said, people are drawn to other people who speak the same primary love language, and likewise, they will wonder whether the other person really loves them or not when the other person does not speak the same primary love language. This happens because the love languages are deep and emotionally linked. So often the divorces happen because of ignorance of these emotional root cause issue. So once this is understood, half the battle is won. Human relations in general, not just in a marriage, are greatly enhanced when we learn to speak the other person's love language. Now, let us learn a bit more on these 5 love languages. First, words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is the usage of nice words to affirm the other person irrespective of whether they achieved something or not. This is a key way to express love. It is including words like thank you, sorry, please, as in requesting something, words of appreciation, etc. I grew up in a culture where there was no concept of words of affirmation. Even to this day, my father says that there should not be any sorries and thank yous within our family. In short, the culture promoted sorries and thank yous only to the outsiders who do not belong to our family. But within our family, everything should be understood. I craved for words of affirmation from my own parents. I wanted them to appreciate me for every good work and even for every small achievement that I have made. But it was very rare that I got an appreciation. I needed to earn my appreciation. So I would suggest the parents of today, please don't wait for your children to earn an appreciation. Instead, appreciate them daily. Give them confidence in whatever they are doing. I would not say that I never got any appreciation ever. My father did appreciate me on several occasions. But the appreciations were only when I lived up to his expectations. I grew up with the same cultural mindset until I met my current wife. I am not exaggerating, but not an hour goes by without me getting a form of a word of affirmation. That is, of course, when we are together. That gives me confidence, happiness, and most importantly, security in my marriage. And likewise, I give my wife the words of affirmation too. In fact, I called her God's own daughter in this video series. Nowadays, who is calling their wives God's own daughters? Are you? It takes practice and a conscious effort to implement this beautiful love language in all our marriages. Be creative and be honest. Next is quality time. Quality time is giving the other person our undivided attention. We give so much undivided attention to useless things in our lives. Out of all that time, even if we consciously make efforts to spend 1% in a day, that is 15 minutes with our spouses, it would make a world of difference. Again, growing up, I craved quality time. I used to spend a lot of time with my friends in my younger years. I had so much fun, but at one time, that is from 2003 to 2009, I was very lonely. I did not have any friends and I slipped into having severe inferiority complex, social phobia, and as a result, irritable bowel syndrome. And because of all that build up, when I had the opportunity to be with a woman, I grabbed it just as a starved beggar, I made the worst decision of my life. This probably is the reason why my primary love language today is quality time. Anyway, having quality time with your spouses is very important. In fact, it is the basic need for any human being because of the nature of our being. We are social beings by design. So quality time is planning an event with your spouse like a regular date night or an occasional vacation, etc. The important thing is not the activity, but the two of you having time together. The meaning of giving quality time is that you are giving your spouse a part of your life. In our marriage, we consciously make time to go out on a date night once in a week, and our usual vacations are road trips where we have amazing time with each other. Now, the third, gift giving. Giving gifts is a universal expression of love. Again, from the culture that I come from, giving gifts is a rare phenomenon. So even to this day, I am so bad at this gift-giving love language. Although gift-giving or gift-receiving is not my primary love language, I am getting better at it. But my wife is an incredible gift giver. I have never seen such a generous giver in my entire life. Now, fourth, acts of service. Acts of service is doing something that you know the other person would like for you to do. That is an expression of love. Before coming to Christ, I was one of the most mean, lazy, and selfish persons ever born on this planet. Of course, I'm exaggerating. Christ convicted me of my sin nature, and my gradual process of sanctification began. During the process of preparing for a life of godly marriage, I understood that I wouldn't last long in a marriage if I continued to live the way I was living. So I made conscious and mental transitions and prepared myself for the future marriage. But still, as acts of service is not my primary love language, God knew what He was doing. He got me married to a person who loves to serve others. It was truly a tremendous blessing. Again, I admit that I will have to put in more work to get better from where I am right now in this area of loving others. Fifth, physical touch. In a marriage, this love language is the most crucial one. The emotional power of a physical touch is often underestimated. From the time we were babies, we craved for physical touch. Again, in the culture that I grew up in, I feel sad for the children who are often deprived of physical affection after a certain age, especially the young girls. It is a taboo in the society if a father even touches his own daughter. Remember, if a child's love language is physical touch, then nothing is more important. Our spouses were the same children years ago who craved the love of physical touch. In marriage, we must never deprive ourselves of physical touch. In our marriage, along with the words of affirmation, we hug and kiss each other several times in a day. Again, maybe because of the culture that I grew up in, physical touch is not my primary love language. But still, I love the idea of physical touch in a marriage. So we encourage the married couple to often keep touching each other in some or other form to maintain that emotional bond. Now, clearly, my primary love language from what I shared is spending quality time with my wife. What is yours? It is seriously time to examine yourselves and make changes to your lives to make your marriages beautiful. Let us break this video here, and when we come back, we will continue our Bible study in John chapter 4 and see what Jesus has to say. Until then, please stay tuned to Gospel in Action, and to know more about me, please find the link to my testimony and contact details in the description below. Thank you again for watching.